Hello everybody, nice to see you. Let's talk about the full moon in Leo on the 11th of February 2017. What have we got here? Well, we've got an interesting looking chart, that's for sure. But today I'm not going to be looking at the chart. I'm just going to channel it through and see what comes up. We are tired. We are very tired of something that we've been doing for a long time. I get a feeling that there's a few people in the world that are going to go into a certain loop with energy. They may be running around or doing the thing that they're going to do forever, they think. There's going to be a break though. I feel for many different people there's going to be a break. And this interesting sort of situation where they're like, I have no idea. I have no idea how long this is going to last. I have no idea how long this person is going to be with me. I just don't know. And that is something really spectacular about this particular sky, because it makes us feel a strange sensation of discredited work. It's like suddenly everything's simmering down and the fight is over, or some kind of situation has reached its plateau. Or even its dip or its peak, it's reached something. There is like a certain type of story or situation that we can perhaps identify as real. And then for some reason, we're going to look forward to nothing. It's just going to be like, we're gone, and oh my gosh, I have no idea what's going on now. There's a really good, interesting stuff happening in the industries of fashion and movies and all sorts of art, advertisement, and any kind of flashy energy. I feel for anything like that, there's a lot of guruship and sudden leadership where there before was none. So if you've got anything going on, like an art project of yours or any kind of creative endeavor, really use this timeline to start pulling yourself over to the greater side of yourself. It's like you kind of stop, and then you kind of like can see where it's all going, and you have to pull a little bit. Like there's a little bit of strength involved there. If you can imagine crafting a really intricate work of art very quickly or very quietly, there's a lot of work that should be involved. And yes, you can transcend your previous ideas of creativity and your previous creative blocks and barriers today, tomorrow, and the next day coming up to the great big moon in Leo. However, if you are like myself, or if you are somebody who's kind of like sitting back and looking at the world, not quite sure what to do, as you perhaps might have been developing certain things within yourself during the previous lunar phase, understanding that sometimes we know nothing. At times we're really confused and conflicted by ourselves. We can be very confusing to other people during this time as well. And perhaps for you and for me, there could be a phase of androgyny, or like androgynous feelings, or awkward silences, strange speculation, very awful perhaps environments, but also understanding that you are good. Like there is something within you that's waking up that's actually really good and very faithful to the world at large. Something really great and clean and very optimistic, but not just that, just something very real and very human, and perhaps very pulling of people inwards. Like you can actually start feeling like you're pulling people in, and it's not because you're trying, and it's not because you're happy or you're sad. You just pull people in for some reason, and that's really a gigantic step for me, as I'm feeling that there's something about me that just pulls people in now without really worry about what they're conceiving about me or against me or towards me. They're just like a natural form of relationship that's taking place, I feel, for a lot of us, for many people, as we're recognizing that we are untying old knots of preconceptions within ourselves and connecting to greater human collective through just places, just places, just turning up, just turning into yourself over and over again, and not worrying about being anybody else or being somebody else for somebody, and not worrying about what that someone else is feeling. There is an interesting introversion, and through that is faith in yourself and feeling that you perhaps can do a lot more with another. Which really brings to a greater fruition all sorts of human collective, all sorts of human endeavors, and all sorts of human needs. And also We are in a state of non-hierarchical energy at the moment, so it's probably hard for somebody who's been a leader for a long time, because it's like you're understanding that something is disintegrating. It's like the platform on which you've been standing on for a long time. There's perhaps a lot of people that are realizing that they're not as lowly as they used to be. Perhaps people are connecting to the bigger idea of themselves, and perhaps many different human beings around the world are celebrating the Chinese New Year and recognizing that there is no I in team, but there is a me. So the thing is, people are connecting and crediting themselves in a completely different way. Perhaps people are patting you on the back for something. Perhaps you are being elevated beyond your understanding, or perhaps you're being slightly simmered down, lowered, and slightly knocked down a little bit, just a notch, in order to understand your femininity or your masculinity. Usually femininity during this time, as you and I, perhaps if you've been knocked down a notch, have been evolving for a very masculine energy if you're a woman. And if you're one of those females that is creating a sort of a bit of a drawback for you during this time, like sort of an anticlimax during this full moon in Leo, perhaps you've just been pulling yourself outwards. You've been pushing yourself down or in or sideways so much that you've become somebody who's very clearly known for what they are, but at the same time needs a little bit of a simmer backwards in order to find out what it is that you really are and how you could really use yourself in the next future. As we're forming the new year, we're crediting, it's like we're crediting a new endeavor for ourselves, and we're connecting to the new blueprint for all. However, when you are during a lunar phase like this, such as this one, you must also walk forward. It is not easy. Perhaps there is a lull. Perhaps there is like a gush of innocence within. There's a need to have a look, need to feel, but there must be motion. There must be motion, because during this fire rooster year, as we're starting it now, there should definitely be a fearlessness there. How you are starting this year is very important and very marvelous. Perhaps for you, it might be a little fling. Perhaps for some of you, it might be a little emotional endeavor. For some of you, might be a little project or a creative understanding, but this must cease as an understanding or an ethereal experience. You must move forward or move beyond what you've got now. So what do you have? That's really important actually to mention. What do you have at the moment unfolding in front of you? I mean, however strange it has been, have become very fond of somebody over the last few days. It's been very, very strong and emotional for me, but I'm choosing not to pursue that energy because I understand that it's an illusionary experience. So my moving forward is moving past that experience. Perhaps for you, it might be joining a yoga class, which is something that I've done today as well. Maybe for another person, it might be joining up with another group of people or another team. It might be joining up with something or somebody. But you must be very, very, very clear and wholly within yourself, vibrating light and vibrating well-being in order to take this thing forward. Perhaps you won't understand what it is now yet, but there will be a few different people perhaps looking to you if you are in a good place for advice, or looking to you for a good time. And this is not very, very perhaps civil to say, but you got to cut things short and just be a yes or no expression. And this is because this is a very, very powerful, amazing moon to give us, and to greet us something very special in the future. I feel it would be very, very, very optimistic and opportune to start something of a new project during these days, as I am definitely going to undertake. Looks like I might be joining up to a holistic studio tomorrow actually, which is quite exciting. Perhaps there is some kind of opportunity brewing for you. Maybe there is some kind of madness afoot at the same time as the opportunity creates itself, and that is quite often the case. There is a sense of chaos, or an image of chaos, and beyond the chaos is a bright star, and towards that star you must move, but you first must identify that which is bright and understand which is creating chaos or confusion. So when you're like me and you're not quite sure, perhaps you've got an abundance of different roads opening to you, an abundance of opportunities, you got to stick to yourself. And how to do that is very clear. When you are facing a choice during this time, uh, beautiful choices, because we are beginning something new, we're embarking on a brand new energy scheme. There must be a feeling towards what you know is true. What you know is true about you, where you want to be, where you know that you are needed, where you know that you're wanted, where you know that there's going to be an eternity there, because we're in fixed signs of Aquarius and Leo. We've got to really understand what it is that is sort of gonna be there no matter what. And these things that are feeling to be true, but not just people that are there, but also, the true things that you know that are gonna stay. These things will likely not change. When you're looking at your scheme at the moment, have a look at how you're doing and where you're going and what you would rather have as a blueprint. So everything that you have now in front of you, if you are facing, like me, a smorgasbord of suggestions from reality, you've got to feel it. You've got to feel it inside. What is it that I want, and what is it that's true? And quite likely, maybe in a few days before the smorgasbord or the multi-choice energy, if you are one of those people presented with a multi-choice or the greatness of creativity during this time, quite a few days before, you usually have a premonition, and the premonition is quite bright and it feels really young and fresh. So when you look back to maybe February the 1st, the last few days of January, you might feel that there was some kind of a need, maybe some kind of a action energy, something that made you melt away and something that was true protrude out of you. If you've got something like that, as I have during the last bit of January, perhaps you should have a look at that and flow with that energy. For instance, for myself, I've been really developed as a psychic during that time, and I felt that I could travel the world and do a lot of work for people. Now, facing with my choices at the moment, what can I choose that would definitely get me there quicker? What would you choose that would get you there quicker? What would be the ultimate solution now? And have a look at all these different people, all these different faces, because we're very, very lively at the moment. We're very, very likely to want to do a lot of things with a lot of different people, maybe even a lot of different bodies and lots of different things. We might branch out and we want to maybe marry a person who's quite different, or be with somebody for the first time that's really like neither here or there, or be between people that are not the usual kind of thing for us, and that's beautiful and that's quite fine. But look at your big scheme. Where has your heart been following for the last year? Where is it's a conclusion? It's a big conclusion. Where has your mind been? Where have your emotions been? Where have you really invested yourself in the last maybe 2 or 3 months leading up to this great shift in Leo, the big moon in Leo? Where did you want to be? Where did you dream? What did you dream about? Have a look at the overall theme if you're not quite sure what that one thing might be, and start thinking of that as your tunnel vision energy. Why? Well, because we are in Leo moon, we got Aquarius sun, we got a lot of things happening. Jupiter and Uranus are in opposition, and we got Saturn there raining ideas, raining satisfaction for some people. For some other people, they feel like they're at the end. Basically, we've got lots of things happening. We've got Venus, Mars, and Aries. We've got Uranus and Aries as well, facing Jupiter and Libra that's just gone retrograde on the 6th of February. So we've got a lot of feeling and almost fear, because it's like, the choice has got to be made. There's got to be a choice. And because we are in retrograde Jupiter, there might be a definite feeling. And that might actually make you feel like, okay, I'm going to make this choice, and oops, that is going to be with me probably for a long time. But because we are in Libra energy with Jupiter, there might not be room to make all the choices simultaneously. Say if you got this person who's branch, and this career that's a branch, and maybe this other satisfaction that's a branch, and you want to choose everything, one of these things at least is going to fall. There's going to be at least 1 or 2 things that are offered to you at this point in time falling away, because they're sort of supporting branches to what you really want to do. You might meet somebody in the last few days leading up to the full moon. It's actually a grand moon. It feels really, really heavy and very, very refined. There might be one or two people that come in during this time or surface or resurface that are actually yours to keep. And there could be a few people that are just metaphors for you. Say you met somebody and you thought that person was just like me, I must be with this person, but they might be just a metaphor for who you are going to be. Or you might actually find somebody who feels like, who's from your past, it's very likely. And then you might think that person is mine, but then you might actually understand that person is not me. That person is just a reminder of where I was. And there's all these different things that can happen with people, with partnerships and people and connections and all sorts of things. All sorts of deals can take place here as well. But you must be very, very, very kind to yourself and to everyone else, but at the same time forward motion only in where you really want to be. So be aware of that. Perhaps you might have a mother at the moment, as do I. You might have a parent, or you might have like a motherly figure who's not in control of their emotions. You might have a fatherly figure who's not trying too hard at being a dad, but he's still kind of succeeding serendipitously by providing you things that usually a father probably would not. You might have a brother or a sister who are lost and who are confused or walking around with closed eyes, and you might have lots of different people around you who are not quite what they seem. And that's okay, because we're all very lost and confused. As you have heard perhaps the previous video on Chiron, there might be a lot of different things happening with the Pisces Chiron now that are like completely weird and completely out of kilter with what you perhaps used to know about yourself or used to understand. And this is really interesting. Basically, we are learning to be human and humanizing our feelings and humanizing our emotional passages. We are really learning to connect the brain and the heart and the mind and the allness. It's like we are all fragmented and we're all looking at each other and ourselves from different directions and from different types of ideas, different types of synergies, just different things. Are just like multiple ways of being. There's multiple ways of being, and it's really, really ironic because now it's almost like this blur has come through us. This blur, like everything's blurred over, everything's sort of like under smog, and we have to remember who we are and conceive within us something that's real. And then through that, we have to move towards the tunnel vision of where we really want to be and where we really need to be. So basically, with this type of energy, I would not go on Facebook too much. I would not give people the time of day if you do not feel this person as something inside you that is beyond life. Like, don't waste your time. And it's really easy because we've got Jupiter ambitioning through Libra, we got retrograde happening, we've got Uranus staring at Jupiter in the face. We got so many different things that are making us feel like, oh goodness, I'm not sure, maybe I'll talk to someone about my problem, maybe I'll make a friend, maybe I'll go online, maybe I'll go date somebody new. It's not a good time for that. Basically what you've been dished is already almost like being given, or it's in the ether above you. It's like already like in the works and it's in the aura, and if it's going to happen, it's already been programmed. It's just up to you to know what you do and do not wish for. So basically I'm begging you, and I'm begging myself too, because I've been really off on this stuff lately. Tunnel vision yourself, tunnel that vision and go, okay, for example, I want to be a ballerina, I'm going to go to extra practice. Yeah, I could hang out with a million friends. I could, have a drink. I could go out to the park. I could walk my neighbor's dog. I could do a lot of different things. But I'm going to be a ballerina. There is a magical moon taking place. I'm going to go and I'm going to train extra hard. And then I'm going to maybe give myself a nice relaxation. Maybe I'll take a bath and have a massage. So everything I'm gonna do is almost like a ritualistic energy towards this great ambitious moon that is coming to you. There's going to be maybe voids during this time, and that's quite fine, because when there's magic there's a void. When there's magic there's always void. It's like the antithesis as well as the climax. There will be voids, and there might be even voices telling you, or people around you telling you, that you're not a lot, that you're nothing, even to the point where like, you got a career now? You think so? Well, it's not actually anything you want. Or like, this person, well, they're not this. And you're going to have a lot of this happen during this time, this moon, even like leading up to the next new moon. There's going to be like a lot of like antithesis of what you've been coming to. It's like, yeah, you got this, but that's not for you. Or like, well, yeah, you got this, but where's the truth there? So you've got to be very, very true. And it's going to be very, very hard for many of us, because there might be a feeling of being whisked into another person's realm. There might be a lot of different people at the same time, and there might be a few different voices or suggestions from everybody. In the collective, in a silent mind, between the lines, come over here, I'll show you something real, or like have this or have that, but mind not what other people are doing, because most people at this point in time are under. There is a dreamscape energy at the moment. We're not completely on the dot. There is something about us that is not quite weaving reality that same way that we used to, and we may not fear what we are doing. And when it comes to beckoning people, selling people things, being in communion with people, it's a really ironic thing. We are open and we are honest and we are ready to receive, but there's something in us that's not feeling. There's something in us that's not completely real, and though that person may feel to us good, we may wake them up and then understand that we don't actually want to wake them into our dream. We want them to be in a different dream. So there's lots of different things. To wish is to stuff up. Okay, so be very, very meek with your wishing. Be very meek with your wishing, even to the point where you're like, I'm happy, I'm happy. Don't even wish for money, don't wish for progress, don't wish for anything, but the ritualistic energy is a must. So what do I mean? Manifestation through ritual during the full moon is a practice, and it's wonderful. And for some people, it's real and it's a joy. It's basically bathing in the moonlight. Is basically being alive, letting yourself be and feel. That's what it should be. But for many people, it's writing something on a piece of paper and saying, Dear Santa Claus, I want this. And that's a problem, because when we become ritualistic in a greedy way during this type of moon, we are needing to be very, 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 very small in here and large in the heart. But if we decide, it's all gonna go, oh my god, I'm gonna manifest, it's really hard, because we can be very, 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 very stiffened by our decisions. We can go, I really want this person, and surprisingly we may not get them, but we might get somebody like them, and then recognize later, that's not what I need. 2-3 years later, you might be married and understand, I actually needed something completely different. I actually wanted to do something else. But the thing is, with an transfusion of energy, not everybody can manifest simultaneously most things. Some people can, but most people, they infuse something with energy and then taking energy out of something else. For example, they're all set up to be a psychic healer. Like they're all set up to be like a commuter with people, a communion person. They're made to be maybe some kind of a lawyer or doctor or somebody, like a certain type of energy, and they've been going towards it for a long time. But they could meet somebody during this amazing energy, which makes people feel like they're true, something's true there, and they could go, that is the person I want. All of a sudden they can go, oh my gosh, that's my sweetheart from, twin flame, from another planet. I remember them from Pleiades or something like that. And then you might actually want them so little inside, but feel, hey, look at that, I want that. And the course of your life can swerve, and you can definitely, and I've done this so many times, so you can swerve and maybe recognize that person eventually is not going to fulfill you. And there's usually voices during this time that will also coax you into being yourself, into not swerving off track, but also swerving as well. So it's a really interesting idea. What you are carrying within yourself during this moon is the most important part. It's all in here, and we're in a really unique time for humanity, because we can probably quite possibly hear ourselves a lot more than usual. So basically hear yourself, what's going on inside. The heart is wide open. It's like a giant gate is opened. I'm not quite sure how long for, but I feel there's going to be a larger encompassing field created out of this with time. But I'm feeling that there's going to be a new type of generation of being coming through us, those who have had the great gate opening of the heart, the great gate, And I feel we're going to become more, but we need to start feeling that inside, as a primary basis of our humanness, as a primary basis of our being here. And through that, we'll understand what goes through the gate and what cannot. It's like you can already understand what person is great, but they're not going to go through the gate of your heart. You know what I mean? They're not going to become you. And then you can see what will. You can see what you can fit inside your heart and what is just not going to flow. It's an interesting thing. It's like you can understand what is there to be transfused and infused into you and what is not. There's an interesting spongy feeling inside, as you can feel your heart eating something up or somebody. And then there'll be a time when your heart is just not. It's almost like there's just negative charge with the magnets. The magnets don't quite meet, and sometimes you'll feel that the heart is just sucking in like a vacuum cleaner, and it's quite incredible. As it's sort of been happening to me, I was starting to experience it as a phenomena at the moment. It would be so neat for you guys, and for myself, I feel for all of us, to just like stick it out and just see where is the real beneath the smoke and mirrors. Where is it? Each time this comes to me, this change, I usually miss out because I don't believe me. During this time, it's like illusion seems clearer than myself quite often. Like when I see people that I love, I see beautiful people at my doorstep. I see beautiful things happening in my life. I'm like, this is unbelievable. I don't believe I can have it. So basically go with what you've sort of gut instinct a few days ago. Like, what was your gut instinct about January the 22nd? To do with you, to do with success, to do with your true self. What did you envision for yourself? And how far did you come? And why did you not need to celebrate it further, perhaps, for some of you? And if you did celebrate it further, that's great. But perhaps for most of us, the sheen has gone off and we're questioning ourselves again. So where is that balance between your gusto, the power, and the non-power of letting things be? Like, where is that balance? It's very, very important to start seeing yourself for yourself and start feeling yourself for yourself. And nobody, not even me, nobody knows you. Nobody knows you. Even your mom, even your dad, even your child, quite possibly, does not. They know you actually better than probably anyone else, but probably nobody really knows you during this time. And that means do not see another person as some kind of a big thing that you're gonna tremble in front of. Any big thing, any body, any big thing. And that is interesting because we're going tunnel visioned forward. And usually with the tunnel vision, we do feel that the light at the end of the tunnel is bigger than me. But it's important not to feel this. Or allow yourself the room to know that I'm going to head into the tunnel, but I know that sometimes the tunnel just leads me back to myself and it doesn't actually happen what I want. But I will trust it. But never feel like this thing is way beyond me, because that usually sets you up for a diminishing energy at the end of this transit. And the equilibrium takes place when things kind of fall on their face a little bit. So basically, with this particular energy prognosis, I'd perhaps advise you guys to sit by yourself if you can't feel. And this does not have to be in an empty room. This is what I have been missing. I've been trying to sit alone in an empty room and it's just completely tore me up. But then when I feel like I'm like that, like I can't sit by myself in a deep space, I can go sometimes on a bus. I can go sometimes just walking down the street can help me and mend me inside, and I feel completely alone yet held. So what do you do with your day that makes you feel inside alone? Perhaps you might be somebody who meditates while chopping vegetables. Maybe you are somebody who meditates while no social media. Maybe playing a game on your computer. Maybe you're somebody who likes to walk and you meditate inside while you're walking. Maybe you're somebody who likes to help somebody out with their gardening and you're carrying the bins or something like that, and you're walking along and you're feeling good. You're feeling there's something inside, there's a conjoining feeling. So look at that feeling of being inside together, and it will never draw you apart. Thank you very much, people. Very nice to be here. Very nice to be doing this prognosis. Would you like a reading? I'm in a little bit of a strange space, but I definitely accept readings if you'd like readings. And yes, thank you very much. Let me know how you do. Bye.